And let not your heart be troubled. When we come back, our great American panel is next.
Kick off my shoes and run in bare feet and wear the grass and the dirt and the gravel on me. Going back into the well, gonna visit old friends and feed my soul. We're the Black Tongue Band.
And tonight on our great American panel, he is Don Imus's longtime radio producer, the one and only Bernard McGurk is here. She is a radio talk show host in her own right. Mary Walter joins us. He is a journalist, former prosecutor, served as a legal advisor on John Kerry's failed presidential campaign. Jeffrey, sorry, I couldn't risk. Scott Shapiro is with us. All right, so the Pentagon is now saying, Army spokesman is telling Fox News that Franklin Graham may be disinvited to this event that they're having because of his remarks about Islam, now including that Muslims are enslaved by their religion. Here's part of what he said. He said, look, I want people to know, for example, that they don't have to die in a car bomb. They don't have to die in some kind of holy war to be accepted by God. I love the people of Islam, but their religion, I don't agree with their religion at all. And if you look at what the religion has done just to women alone, it's horrid. Should he be disinvited?
Absolutely. There's no way that the Pentagon should endorse having someone who attacked any religion under any circumstances when we have people of that faith serving in the United States Armed Forces.
Let me ask you a question. What do you think of the way Islam treats women? Some of these Islamic countries, the way they treat women. Do you agree with that?
I totally disapprove of it, 100%.
Is it hard?
Yes, it is.
So you agree with Franklin Graham?
I agree with his position, but I do not think that the government should allow him to speak at an event that is government-sponsored.
Is it not obvious to you when he's talking about people dying in car bombs, thinking 72 virgins that await them in heaven? Is that not obviously an attack against radical Islam?
It is an attack against radical Islam, but if the government sponsors having someone at that event...
Is he accurate? Is there a group of people believing that Allah is awaiting them in heaven with virgins if they kill innocent people?
There is a sect of Islam that does that, yes.
Okay, and is that who he was referring to?
What exactly is the quote again?
Well, he just said you don't have to die in a car bomb or some holy war to be accepted by God.
Sean, what I can tell you is this. I'm Jewish, and if I was serving in the United States Marine Corps and the Pentagon allowed someone to speak who said anything about Judaism, broadly speaking, in any way, I would be so offended.
You seem afraid to take on radical Islam.
I'm not afraid at all.
Radical extremism that killed 3,000 Americans.
This is the kind of thing that promotes it. This is the kind of thing that encourages it.
And this tone is set at the top. This is the tone of appeasement and selling out. It started with the apology tour, and it's culminating in this. I mean, look at what's happening with the South Park guys. They're getting death threats. I mean, these are Muslim people. They can't even mention the name Muhammad out there. This is ridiculous. And the selling out of Israel and of our own country. You know, let President Obama let my people go right now. That's what I'm saying.
No, but wait a minute. This is important. You just said
sure.
If you criticize Islamic extremism, that causes terror. You just said that.
Sean,
that's what you just said.
What I said is when you allow the appearance that the government of the United States or the military...
The appearance. Is it fair to take on radicals that strap bombs on their own children to kill innocent people? You're not willing to criticize them?
Not on National Prayer Day. Not on National Prayer Day. That's not appropriate. That's not what National Prayer Day is about, Sean.
When is it appropriate to take on people that thinks it's appropriate to stick
National Prayer Day is about a day of worshiping God. It is a way of coming together.
He also retracted and explained in the Wall Street Journal, I believe, part of his statement, and it was right after 9/11, and maybe it's time for not just us to be tolerant and understanding of everyone's religion. Maybe some people need to be tolerant and understanding of the atmosphere and what we were going through right after 9/11.
I would think liberals like yourself would join with conservatives like myself and say the mistreatment of women, the lack of condemnation, widespread condemnation of radical extremists ought to be something universal in the human experience, that we stand for human life, that we stand for the rights of women. Why won't you take the stand that Franklin Graham is taking?
Sean, I run an organization now called HonorFreedom.com that is dedicated to defending President Bush's legacy because I oppose Islamofascism, but I don't think it's appropriate on National Prayer Day for the government to support this person or endorse them.
One day after President Obama just said that in his consideration for the Supreme Court choice that women's rights has to be one of the biggest issues involved here. And just recently, the Ayatollahs just said that, by the way, they stone women women in Saudi Arabia who wear miniskirts, and the Ayatollahs just said that the women who dress immodestly, they cause earthquakes and volcanoes. I mean, and we're going to appease this kind of medieval behavior.
I want to read the full quote there, because I think you left something out, Sean.
I didn't leave anything out.
I think you left something out. What he says is, I want them to know they don't have to die in a car bomb, they don't have to die in some kind of holy war to be accepted by God, but it's through faith in Jesus Christ and Christ alone. Now, I'm going to tell you something. That is particularizing a certain religion, and I find that to be inappropriate.
You agree with Obama that we're not a Christian nation?
We are a nation of many religions.
You agree that
that's what America's all about.
No, America was founded on the Judeo-Christian ethic. That's a fact.
Wow, you know, I got to tell you.
Fact or fiction? Do you agree or disagree?
I think it was founded on the principle of religious freedom.
Period.
Religious freedom, not one religion or two religions.
It's not religion, it's religious freedom, and that's his belief. Why can't he state that?
What's the problem?
On a day of prayer, we should have someone who pulls in all religions.
And we continue now with our great American panel. All right, Vice President Joe Biden on The View earlier today about him dropping the Biden bomb.
You get up there, a health care bill signed, and you throw the F-bomb, and I'm thinking, oh, man, yes, that might be one we maybe shouldn't say, too.
In your head, Vice President.
Were you surprised that you got the pass from him on that?
No comment.
I was just thankful my mother couldn't hear this thing. And it was a little embarrassing.
Did you not realize there was a microphone?
No, I realized there was a microphone, but I had no idea it was that sensitive.
McGurk, you might sympathize with him because I expect this out of you.
Actually, I do sympathize with him. You know, he's a big effing clown, but and it's okay. And I like Joe Biden. I really don't harbor and the indignation over him using the F-bomb. You know, that cat is way out of the bag. I don't know if anybody listens to FM radio these days, and I'm no prude, but I mean, there's things being said that kids are listening to that are 1,000 times worse than some old guy dropping the F-bomb.
Or MTV or any of these other programs. Right. Problem?
No, I think he's hysterical. He reminds me of Leslie Nielsen in Naked Gun. Doesn't he? Like he says stuff, he walks away laughing, and there's just a trail of destruction behind him, and he has no clue.
You gotta love him.
I said last night, somebody buy him his own teleprompter and make sure that he uses it. He can't help himself.
And he fit in nicely with the rest of the magpies there on The View. They just gelled.
Be nice to Elizabeth Hasselbeck.
Yeah, actually,
they're my friends.
I like them all besides Joy Behar, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think it's a good show. What?
Elizabeth was medicated today, you know that. She had to be. With Biden there?
Well, no, Elizabeth is a gracious person. I mean, she's been a guest on the program. She's a very nice person, so she's not going to go after him. All right, a VAT tax. Got Volcker promoting it. Got the president saying, well, interesting idea. Then quickly you got the propaganda minister, Robert Gibbs. You got Geithner. You got everybody else. Biden all running out. No. We're not really thinking about a VAT tax. But in light of the $1 trillion deficits as far as the eye can see, I don't see. This is what liberals do. They spend the money, they increase the debt, now they're going to raise taxes. Isn't that pretty much what we can expect?
Well, you know, I think that the biggest problem, Sean, that everyone has with this is the same problem that the conservatives and a lot of mainstream Americans had with health care reform. It's not that the idea that reform is bad in itself. It's that Barack Obama did tell America that he wanted to fundamentally transform America. And I think a lot of people, understandably, are suspicious that when he said that, what he meant was he wanted to fundamentally transform the United States of America into the Soviet states of America. And every step toward a collectivist socialist state is very suspect. And, of course, this is one of those programs that's going to make people suspicious.
What he's doing?
No, I don't. Not at all.
I think he's going to ruin capitalism as we know it. I think he's ruining the American economy and weakening us abroad.
But he has to put in a VAT tax. They have to. And I think that they knew all along that they were going to have to do this because their programs are unsustainable. They know their programs are unsustainable.
Is there a surprise here? It's like acting surprised that killer whales kill. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough on old people. First, you have the death panels, now dog food. This is what you get from President Obama, is death panels and dog food for old people. Because people on fixed incomes are going to be really hurt by this value-added tax.
All right, great panel, guys. Appreciate it. And a new book gets to the roots of the ClimateGate scandal and exposes the relationship between the radical environmental movement and Marxism. When we come back, that author coming up straight ahead.